So this contraption here is my Kadee mount from my M1A. I have modified it to accept this brake hose, and this contraption here I'm tapping on is the steam heat delivery hose with all this other goodness attached to it. They're soldered to this. I think this is a 3/16 by 3/8 brass rectangular tube, and this was just the original Kadee mount I was using with one of these long shank 746 Kadees. So I didn't want to stay using this. I was going to try to use one of these extendo boxes here. I just couldn't work out the physicality of the whole thing, so and there was no good way to adjust the length of this box. But these are really cool if you want to mount Kadees on like a caboose, and you have the long platforms, and and you can use this end to get to the body, and then this will clear the platform. So kind of neat to have. But right now, this is what I am. This is the mod for the M1A, and I am in the process of replicating it for the M1b. And although you can see, I had to fabricate something out of some brass square channel and some thinner rectangular stock right now. But I have it drilled out to pass the Kadee screws. And I'm using these 2mm, 20mm long cap screws. Since this is a third rail, I'm going to stick with all metric hardware. And I'll show you what it looks like mounted to the tender frame here. Here are the 2mm holes I tapped in the tender frame. Curiously enough, third rail doesn't really set these up for Kadee mounts for 3-rail customers, which is kind of surprising, I guess. I don't know. I tried to get some pictures of what the 2-rail tender looks like. I found some photos on brasstrain.com and eBay, but nothing showing me enough detail. So I'm just gonna stick with modifying my original mount. So you can see what I did here. I think what I like to do on the actual adapter is I'll hog out the holes a little bit, so I have a little bit of slop when I install it. Here's the new one I'm making. The holes are a little smaller, but my philosophy is if you really screw this up, you can just kind of through hole everything and then just just nut it if you had to. But I can typically get the tapped holes pretty straight, and then what I'll do is I'll leave the adapter a little loose, and this gives me the proper Kadee height, and then I'm kind of using it to mount the extra hardware. Took a while to figure out how to mount this. It kind of goes like that. That pipe kind of runs down vertically, and then this kind of amoeba shaped thing back here just needs to get ground down. So let's do it. So here they are. I think I don't know. Good enough. A little rough looking, but these will be painted flat black, and they'll be living in darkness anyway underneath that drawbar platform or whatever on the back of the tender. So that's it for now. I'm gonna mount them up and test them out. So here's the M1B's Kadee conversion setup. This was kind of based off some of the work I did on the M1A, where at least I figured out the height diff between the frame and the rails to get the height set for the coupler. and I had to play a bit of a game with the coupler box draft gear location because of the extended platform on the tender. Anyway, I have the steam line, this PSC, I think 4049 part I picked up yesterday at P&D, and I got the brake hose on here. I'm gonna trim these lines. I really hate to do it, but I think third rail extended these out. That's the steam line there, I'm assuming, and the air lines. So I also used plastic coupler box because the frame is part of the TMCC antenna, and I was afraid of possibly grounding out that coupler or even shorting it to the third rail, because that can happen. That's one of the hazards of 3-rail scale, using Kadee couplers on a 3-rail layout. I mean, I've melted the springs out of Kadees before, but the danger here is shorting out the R2LC or whatever. And same with this steam line. I had to tweak on it so it wasn't so close to the third rail. I've got pretty level track on my layout. I don't have to worry too much, but anyway, this is my setup. I'm gonna run with it. It's also installed on the M1A right now, and I'm going to put this back together and keep moving it. I had a bit of a flashback the other day when I had this EOB board out and I was looking at it. These, if you notice, these power leads are soldered directly to this bridge rectifier under here, and I gotta correct that on the M1A. I already fixed it on this guy, on the M1b, but the original power lead location was one of these small connectors here. And the danger is, you know, you got high current on these rather fragile traces under here going to the bridge rectifier, and you can smoke them in high current situations, I guess. So I'm gonna fix that on the M1A. And while I'm doing that, I might take the Lionel chip out of the M1A and put it in this guy. I don't know yet. I'd love to find that. I'd love to find that 6759 chip. That's sold out at Lionel. I don't know if somebody out there went and hoarded up a bunch of them, but I can't get another one. It's kind of a bummer. So I have the M1A back on the bench for a special purpose. I want to make a Kadee coupler adapter for the front here, because this nice little cosmetic coupler just ain't gonna work, because I want to do a double header eventually. So let's see if I can make this happen. Anyway, here's what I ended up with. That's the 746 and the front coupler pocket there, and the height's like almost perfect. I think I'm gonna run with it. Of course, the first one I cut was a little too short, so I'll use this for some other project. It'll go right in my Kadee project box there. So this is what we're gonna run with. I'm gonna cut that hose off there. Here, I'll show you these. So my next task here is to pull these gigantic LED cables. I already got it loose. I just I gotta pull these out and then fill these holes. So both LEDs pulled out of their housings, I can now take off this smoke box front and see if I can get at where they go. Now I can kind of drop this and then rotate it, and I can clear the dynamo. So I thought I'd have to get into the boiler, but I think I'm gonna get in this way. So see if I can chase out where these LEDs are being fed from. All right, so they're out. Now I have to fill these giant holes in the smoke box here. Probably also backfill these class light housings. So that's my next thing. I'll probably put a put some scrap styrene or something as a backer to fill these holes. So that's next. Here's my fill job so far. I actually like to use JB Weld for filling stuff like this. And when it sets up, I'll figure out what color to get that dot to match the smoke box silver. So I decided to get a little brave and trim these elongated class lights back. So right now I've got the fill put on them, but I did them very carefully with my Dremel cutoff wheel, and very carefully just, you know, gave it a little zap, and did both sides. And I hope if I can find the engine. This one's a little more gooped up, but hoping that'll look nicer. They were like, I don't know, they were just like about a foot long, just about. So I think these will look better when I'm done. So, all right, we'll see. So as you can see, I have started weathering on the M1b here and the tender. Nothing too radical at this point. This is pretty much a first pass of grimy black on the bodies and some of the running gear. I have not done the drivers yet because I got to set up my rollers. I'm playing around a little bit with trying to do these boiler streaks that you usually see on the lower half of a boiler, and I'm doing this with an AK weathering pencil, but I'm not real happy. I've been kind of putting it on, taking it off, putting it back on again. Sorry about the finger, but you know, you could just kind of buff it over with a little bit of water, reactivate it with water, but I think, I don't know. We're playing around with it. I'm never afraid to experiment with stuff, but this engine's gonna be pretty standard weathering, I think. You can see also on the smoke box, I've got some kind of radical, nonsensical looking streaking right now, but that gets kind of blended in when I'll do a quick little puff of some flat black or some, I used to use engine black a lot. So anyway, that's kind of it at this point. I did a little bit of effects on the roof, nothing too radical. Again, a little bit of pin washing with some flat black. I did a little bit before putting on grimy black, a little bit after. I also hit this with a quick spritz of flat clear, and I'm real kind of conservative with the flat clear. Too much of it turns it like a ghostly gray white or something, and then flat clear after you've done like most of the weathering kind of mutes stuff too much. I kind of play a little game. I keep my stuff pretty dry. I don't overcoat it with clear a whole lot. It's just the way I do stuff. I actually like to put the grimy black over clear because I want a little bit of sheen kill from the flat, and I want a little bit of tooth from the flat, but not too much. It's very thin, a very thin job I do on these engines. So for my money, the last effect I'll do, and I'll try to demo it, I don't know, is dry brushing, more so than doing even pin washing, all that stuff on the details. I find the last stage of selective dry brushing with like reefer gray or any kind of a light gray really helps pop the selected details you want to show off, you know. So I'll be doing that. I'll puff a little bit of brown rust maybe in a couple stages on the couplers, a little bit of brown on some of the running gear too. I typically don't model the pulverized sand on drivers. I don't think it's very photogenic. It's just maybe it's a modeler's license thing or whatever, but I don't know. So here's a tender, pretty basic flat clear and then grimy black overcoat a little bit. I'm not going to go too nuts on this. There's not much to do any kind of pin wash effects on or anything like that. And a little brown on the trucks, of course, back on the coupler and all the running gear back there. We'll get a little bit of rust and some dry brushing, and same with the tender deck. I don't go too nuts. Yeah, you could put some spilled coal up here or some other stuff, but it's gonna be this is pretty close to how it'll look when it's done, other than some streaking effects with dry brushing and stuff like that. So we will set this up on the rollers and get these drivers grimy black. So at this point, I'm mostly happy with my coverage. I think I got everything I needed to get on the rods here. I usually kind of miss the front rod behind the main back here. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just run it in brush paint and then kind of buff it up a little bit. But I think I got most of it. We'll see. I'll give it another run on the rollers here, but right now I'm cleaning up some details that got kind of oversprayed, like the numbered boards here, the lit number boards. Just want to get these to show up a little bit. I just got a little bit of alcohol on the Q-tip here. It's getting there. Just gonna buff out the builder's plate here a little bit, just so we can read it. The alcohol's kind of nice because it dries so quick, and it doesn't. See, it leaves a little sheen or a little haze behind, so you can keep kind of working it off and buffing it to whatever level you want to get it to. So I just wanted to be able to read that. So I think that's kind of cool. Looks like maybe somebody wiped it off a little bit to show a little workman's pride, you know. But this is the fun part. This is where, with the dry brushing and a little touch up and stuff like that, you can kind of start to light the thing up. So in a minute here, I'll get ready to do a little dry brushing. I probably should have painted these pop valves, but oh well, I let them go this time. The other thing is this flying bell cord. I did identify the part I needed to convert this to like an air actuated bell. I don't know. I gotta do it on the M1A too at some point. I'm gonna try to find more pictures though, because I'm not real happy with the photos I found on that yet. So I want to get it right. There's other things missing, like the whistle cord goes through this like standoff here that I do not want to mess with right now. So I'm gonna leave it go. I think we're getting somewhere. We're almost ready. Maybe put this thing on a layout. What do you think of this color? This is called Oxido Claro, or Model Air Light Rust. I just picked some of this up. I heard this is pretty good stuff. There it's coming out. Oh yeah, it's kind of nice. Good focus on that. Here's a little shop tip. You want your compressor to not run away on you while you're working, just hang it off one of these bike hooks. Other than that, this thing likes to walk around a little bit. Look at that. Where are you going? So I get some Oxido Claro on this rear coupler here. And I'm just shooting with my trusty Posh VL. I kind of run the big hole on this thing. I guess is this the 3-tip I guess I have in here? I run everything through it, and I think even though this sounds super loud, I'm probably running at about 20 PSI with these, with these acrylics and stuff. I like to run to film this, not mess this all up. Very sparingly. Just dust it. Showed a little. Yeah, and I'm kind of liking to buff off a little bit with some alcohol here on a Q-tip. Works wonders. Let's see. I think there. Already looks like it's working. Like it's been doing stuff. You see my little steam line here. It's not too bad. I think I could live with that. Maybe maybe a little wash and a dry brush. Oh no, here's a layout color test. This is gonna be the auxiliary front coupler for the M1A there in the background out of focus. This is that 740 I cut down. I kind of spritzed it with a little grimy black and then gave it a few little puffs of this model air light rust just to see how I liked it coming out of the airbrush. And then after that I gave it a little wash of black and then a little dry brush over the whole thing with some reefer gray. I don't know. Should be alright. What do you think? So here's where we're at on the tender. I think I'm gonna stop here. Don't want it any heavier. So like I said, this was done originally just a quick coat of flat clear, followed by a kind of a variegated coat of grimy black, and then some dry brushing. You can see how it's popped out on the details here. And I did a little dry brushing up the sides, and then sometimes what I'll do is I'll just grimy black, maybe a quick coat of grimy black over it to help it blend in. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I think if you compare it to my other M1A tender, this one's a wee bit heavier. So I think it should be all right. That's what I'm gonna run with. We're back to the engine, and I'm doing a little bit of streaking with some reefer gray over here by the turret. I'm just doing this very sparingly. A little bit of selected dry brushing on some of these cleanouts, etc. So you can get some of these details to pop. Very little paint on this brush. You just want the whatever's on there to come off and just catch the edges of whatever you're rubbing on here. I crushed a little bit of rust-colored pigment into the running boards. It's a little effect I like. I saw somebody do this on an HO model a long time ago. It's very subtle. I do just a tiny bit, and I think it's a nice look. So for a quick review, here's some of the paints I used on this project. Pretty much the standard colors I use. We started off with a couple shots, a couple light coats of some flat clear acrylic, Model Master. The bulk of the shading and kind of overall grime was done with my favorite color, grimy black. I mean, whoever figured this color out years ago was a genius. I love this color a lot. So I have a lot of bottles in my stock, but I'm gonna miss it when it's gone. I've been looking around for replacements, and I've been coming across some things that look promising. So I'll also use a little railroad tie brown here just to kind of like hit some of the running gear with truck side. Sometimes I'll hit the couplers with this, you know. And then I found this to be very workable Model Air right out of the bottle. It's light rust, pretty nice color. The old Polyscale and Model Masters rust I'll use a lot too, just actually very sparingly, just on the couplers, just to light them up a little bit. Sometimes I'll brown wash them or whatever, buff them off a little bit. So needs a little bit of dirt. Sometimes right on the front of the cylinders, I'll just hit a little bit of dirt, dry brush the bottoms of the front cylinders with dirt, and maybe a little bit on the pilot. That's just a old color. It's been kicking around forever. A little bit of, here's some actual Polyscale Brunswick green just for touch up. Here's some reefer gray I used for dry brushing. And then to really pop out the trucks, I just used some basic titanium white, kind of corrupted with a little bit of black, whatever was out at the time. And I've been playing around with these Vallejo colors. I think these are pretty promising. This natural steel was actually a really good color match for doing the touch up on the smoke box front there. So, and I've also been playing around with this Vallejo engine weathering effects. It's like spilled oil or whatever. I did a few shots around the journals on the rods and stuff like that. So a little bit of engine flat, Polyscale Model Master color, just to do the smoke box soot. So that's it. And here's my pigment bowl I reach into once in a while. For other effects, like I said, I used a little bit of that on the running boards. I just like that effect. And a collection of like some of the worst looking brushes you've probably ever seen. And I've also been playing around with these AK weathering pencils. So I don't know, I'm gonna play around with these some more. I think they're kind of promising. I kind of had fun playing with it, and we might try some more. So here's a little recap on the colors I use in this project. A little bit of flat clear to start with, very sparingly. Model Masters Grimy Black Flat. Whoever came up with this color is a genius. I love this color. Been using it since it was a Polyscale acrylic color. I've got plenty of bottles on hand, but I am actively looking for a reliable replacement that does what this can. I mean, this is an amazing color. So, multi-purpose color. You can spray it, you can dry brush it. Very good color. A little bit of railroad tie brown. Model Master, I'll hit the running gear a little bit with it. Sometimes the lower part of the front end of the tender, I'll do that. I'll do a little bit on. But this is a very good color. I use it for a lot of other things. This one's going to be really hard to replace. That is a really useful color for other things too. A little bit of engine black. I shot over the smoke box just for the overall sooting. It's a very good color. It's been around for a long time. And use a little bit of dirt, highlights. I dry brushed a little bit on the lower part of the front cylinders, a little bit on the pilot. It's a nice color. It's been around. This is an original Polyscale bottle I've been nursing forever. A little bit of Polyscale Brunswick. Oh, this is like the nicest, one of the nicest Brunswicks I've ever seen. I've been nursing this bottle for a long time. Really good color. Works great. A little bit of reefer gray for dry brushing. And if I really wanted to, like when I was lighting up the trucks a little more, I just used some raw titanium white out of the tube here. And other things I've been experimenting with, some of these Vallejo colors. These like oil stains, I've been using this for different things. I shot a little bit on the journals. I don't know if you caught that on the running gear, on the side rods. Kind of concentrated around the bearings. It's really neat. It sprays really well out of the airbrush. Again, some more Vallejo, playing around with these Model Air colors. You can squirt them right out of the bottle here and use them undiluted. And I found this to be pretty nice for coupler spraying. because I usually use Polyscale, Model Masters Rust, and with that going away, I need to find a good basic rust color. And then this natural steel from Vallejo is really nice for touching up the smoke box. And so that's it. Here's kind of like my pastels bowl, which I use this stuff very sparingly too. So I got a nice rust color going down there from all the scrapings and stuff I've done over the years. So that's it. So here's the current state of the M1b project. Is it over? Possibly. There's a couple little things I wouldn't mind doing, like finishing up the details on this dynamo plumbing. For some reason, the third rail kind of skipped. There's a little pipe that comes down. There's a little check valve fitting and a little hand valve for this guy. And I'm just anxious to run it, so I just decided not to deal with it. I had my hands full with other things. And this project was kind of interspliced with some other efforts, you know, getting that car shop finished up and installed on the layout and getting the scene buttoned up. But I also spent the past few days rewiring my whole layout. I wanted to fix a few problems I was having, and I wanted to just do a general cleanup. So that was not filmed at all. It was just not very photogenic. So here it is. I think this project is now railworthy. You can see it's kind of double-headed with the M1A right now. There's my little coupler I made up. And I don't know, maybe someday another detail I could fix on this is the bell. I've got this flying bell cord here that I've got tamed kind of temporarily, but I know these have sported air actuated bells, but I cannot, out of all the photos I have, I cannot find one that shows the actual airline routing for it. So maybe I'll take care of that someday, and I'll do the same thing for the M1A. But anyway, I think my next effort would be to get this filmed double-headed, and hope you guys will enjoy it. I hope you guys kind of like this project and could put up with my moaning and droning and stuff, and found the information interesting and useful. So we'll see you next time.